All right, let's get the meeting started here. Start off with a roll call for the September 10th City of Andover Council meeting to my left.
Brian Schwan, council member.
Caroline Hale, council member.
Troy Tabor, council member.
Ben Lawrence, Mayor.
Clark C.R. Nelson, council member.
Rick Schneider, council member.
Mike Warrington, council member.
Mike Keller, Police Chief.
Donna Davis, Chief Financial Officer.
Chad Wilson, Fire Chief.
Jennifer McCausland, Assistant City Administrator.
Derek Casey, sitting in for J.T. Klaus, City Attorney.
Les Mangus, Director, Public Works.
Susan Renner, city clerk.
Mark Detter, City Administrator.
All right, item 3 this evening is the invocation. I don't see Pastor Smith floating around here, do you? Troy, would you mind leading us?
Sure.
Thank
Happily. Jehovah God, thank you for allowing us to get together again tonight to do the work of the city. Pray that as we do this, that you're with us in our hearts and minds. Pray especially for those today. There's been a few school closings or lockdowns. It's been some interesting stuff happening around our community, not in Andover, but around us. And pray that you'll be with all the students that were a little traumatized today and help them to work through that. And as usual, for those that are less fortunate, I pray that you help them to find food, shelter, and love tonight. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
You stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. Item 5 this evening is the public forum. Is there anyone here that wishes to address the council? Once again, this is the public forum. Would anyone like to speak? Very well, we'll move on to item 6, which is the acceptance of the agenda. Council, I must forgive myself here. I need to add several things. Item 8, I have actually another presentation I'm going to call 8.2, if you would so move to add that. And at the end of the meeting, I need to add 3 more issues. One is considering non-elected personnel. The second one would be an ordinance pertaining to non-elected personnel, and 16 would be also another non-elected personnel item.
I'd make a motion to accept the agenda as modified.
Second.
Well, I think we're just going to get those items on the table as AP in terms of, what's that, 10-1 through...
We'll table those. I understand those are up for, we're up for revision. We'll cover those when we get to that item. Now we have a motion and a second to accept the agenda as modified. Is there anything further? Okay. Any additional comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item number 7. We have a request from a citizen this evening. You're up. If you would go to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, please.
I am Denise McIntyre. My address is 803 North Fair Oaks Place, Andover.
What is your request this evening?
My request, I'm here on behalf of Scouts BSA, formerly known as Boy Scouts of America, and we have a need for a place to do some training for our adult volunteers that work with the Cub Scouts. I'm responsible for organizing that training, and we're looking for a place to do that, and Andover Central Park has facilities that would be ideal for us to use. And I would like to request that the fee to use that be waived, since the volunteers have to pay their own expenses to do this training.
Are you requesting a building?
Yes, the use of the
Lodge?
Pardon me?
The lodge?
Yes, the lodge. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. The use of the lodge from Friday evening until Saturday night. October, I think it's 26th and 27th. 25th and 26th.
25th and 26th.
And allow camping overnight in the park.
You want to camp overnight, Friday night?
Yes, they are required to do one overnight camp out in tents, and I understand that there's a place at the back of the park where they would be allowed to do that.
Well, Boy Scouts have traditionally done that before, but I don't believe we've ever had Boy Scout leaders
Yeah.
doing training there. Council, what's your pleasure here?
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the request to waive the fee for the use of the Central Park Lodge for Friday, October 25 through 3 p.m., Saturday, October 26th, on the terms provided.
Excuse me, we would probably need to go through Saturday night late because of
Okay,
the
says
training
3
requires
p.m. till
longer.
midnight.
Thank you.
I would amend my motion.
Second.
Consistent with that.
A second by Mike. Okay, so further discussion. I know you were getting ready to say something.
We do have fees that we reduce for charitable organizations, et cetera, and we always do try to help out the scouts, but I will just make this comment. Using the lodge, and you're asking for both rooms in quite an extensive length of time, I might think that we would request some kind of a deposit that could be returned to you, but the whole cleanup and all that, in other words, I would think that if we're giving this out for free use, that we would expect it to be returned in the exact same shape it looked to begin with.
Absolutely. I have already paid a deposit
Okay,
for the reservation.
okay, very good.
Excellent. Further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we'll move on to item number 8.1. We have a presentation on the Greater Andover Days 2019.
All right, good evening, council. I'm Katie Cork, I'm the event director for the city, and I'm here tonight to present what we're doing this year at Greater Andover Days. So this year is our 52nd year, and we have chosen the theme Deal Us In. Here's the button, which you guys have in your packet as well if you want to see a closer version, but if anybody wants to see. We went with sort of a card theme for the 52nd year, because it kind of went with it. And so we're dealing everybody in this year. Pretty much the festival's the same as last year. We've got a couple new changes. The carnival will not be on Thursday night this year. They requested to just do Friday through Sunday because not a lot of people come to the carnival on Thursday. So committee approved that. And the Schools in Concert has moved to the Central High School instead of Capitol Federal Amphitheater because it's just easier for them and all the logistics of doing all that. So that's going to be at the school. And then Music Scene is also hosting a swing dance event over at the school after that. So that'll be at 8 o'clock. They're going to do some music and teach some swing dance, so that'll be really fun. The cornhole tournament that we started last year with Interest Bank is not happening this year because of the constructions at the school. As you know, we cannot have any bank-sponsored activities in Central Park other than those sponsored by Capitol Federal because of our agreement. And Interest Bank felt that moving further away from the park took a little bit away from the festival, and they didn't want to do that. So hopefully next year we'll bring it back. That's the goal at least, but it's on hold for this year. New this year is yoga in the park on Friday night. Advanced Physical Therapy is hosting that. That will be happening during the tailgate party as well, but it'll be over at the amphitheater, so won't interfere too much with that. But if anybody at the tailgate party wants to go do some yoga, that'll be a good time for them. We are also hosting a movie in the park on Saturday, right after Kid Fest. It's going to be Alice in Wonderland to go with the theme of cards. We are also hosting, sort of as part of GAD, but not officially technically part of GAD, a candidate forum for anyone who's running for mayor, city council, and I believe the school board as well. The Chamber of Commerce is hosting that, and that'll be here. We're not requiring a button for that, so we want the public to come in here and hear what the candidates have to say and ask questions. If anybody has any questions about that, they can talk to Becky at the chamber, 'cause she knows all about that. And then we are also going to dedicate the mural at the library during the concert on Saturday night. It's been out there for a while, but we want to do a formal celebrate it, bring people out. It's really cool if you haven't seen it. And then also on Sunday, we won't have any church service for the community center. Centerpoint Church felt they didn't have enough people to make it work this year. So hopefully we'll be able to bring that back next year, but those are the changes this year. We also won't be doing an ice cream social, unfortunately. Dairy Queen said they didn't have enough interest last year. Did not want to move forward, but by the time we found that out, it's a little late for us to put something together for that, so maybe we'll bring that back next year too. We do need a couple volunteers. Dana is taking over the parade, and so she's doing awesome with that, by the way, and she's handling all of that. So she does need a couple volunteers, 1 or 2 more, and then as always, we need volunteers to be judges for our hot dog and watermelon eating contests. So if you want to know anybody that wants to do that, or if you guys would like to volunteer to do that, let me know. It's always a fun time. The kids love the watermelon. They just eat it all up, and the parents love it too, and the hot dog one is pretty fun too, watching people eat hot dogs and try to do that. But overall, it's pretty much the same. We did bring in about the same amount of sponsorship this year, so we'll be able to cover our costs and recoup some of that. The organization this year we're supporting with button sales is Beta, and they will be helping us sell the buttons as well. Any questions?
Did you say there was no fireworks show?
There is the fireworks
Okay.
show. Yeah, we're still doing the fireworks show on Saturday night.
Excellent.
We're moving the shooting side a little bit because of the construction, but other than that, it's the same.
Excellent. Appreciate the review and look forward to that weekend.
All right, thank you.
All right, item 8.2 is one of those we squeezed in here. So I just wanted to take a moment and recognize a couple things. With us this evening is Lana McPherson. She's with the International Institute of Certified Municipal Clerks, and I believe she wanted to speak this evening. Thanks for joining us all the way from DeSoto.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I bring you greetings from my city of DeSoto, population about 6,400, so we're also a city of the second class. And like you, we've just finished filing our budget. Kansas and August 25th is crazy, but I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. One of the things that I'm most proud about my city is the 21 years that I have been the city clerk in DeSoto. Our mayors and city councils have never cut the training budgets for our employees. And I think we're extremely blessed in that regard. So anytime I've requested to go to city clerk's training or institute in order to receive my master municipal clerk, I've been told, yes, by all means go, because we invest in our best assets in the city, and that's our human capital. And I'm here this evening to congratulate you as the mayor and council and city administrator to bestow a very distinguished honor on my fellow clerk, and I call her my adopted clerk daughter, Miss Susan Renner, because several years ago, when I was a region director for IIMC, I was the lucky recipient to win 2 free registrations for our International Institute of Municipal Clerks conference. And since my city had paid mine already, I talked to your former administrator, Sasha Stiles, and said, I want to give this to Susan because I know she's working on her master's. And would you help make that happen? And Sasha was very tight with those purse strings, but we worked it out, and Susan was able to take advantage of that. So I want to give you a little bit of history, and I'll try to make it brief, but I want you to know the importance of being a city clerk, because most of us as city clerks were in the background making things happen. We don't toot our own horn. And it's getting to the point now where most of the city clerks that are hired in communities all across the country, as well as in our 15 affiliate countries, they want that certified municipal clerk, or even better yet, that master municipal clerk designation, and that's becoming quite a requirement. So my hat is off to all of you for helping your city clerk do that, and I know you have a deputy that's also in the Institute. So with me this evening are two fellow clerks, and also our IIMC Institute Director from Wichita State, Ms. Morgan Barnes. So they're the people that really make the programs happen. So I wanted to tell you that, you know, the beginning of the municipal clerk started back as the public servants in the local government, along with the tax collector. Go figure. But the profession traces clear back before biblical times, and the early keepers of the archives were often called the remembrancers, and they kept all of the records of the city. And if you're Bible readers, you'll know that back in the days of St. Paul, he and his followers were doing missionary work in Persia, in the town of Ephesus. And if you want that reference, it's in Acts chapter 19, scriptures is 22 to 41. And that was written in AD of 58. But the people that made the idols were very concerned that Paul and his missionaries were going to put them out of business because of Christian and biblical beliefs. So they incited the whole town and get this mob together to riot. But guess what? The city clerk stepped up, the town clerk, and said, no, we are not doing that. We're going to do this fair and just for everyone. And the town clerk dispersed the crowd. So we go back. Our history goes way back to one of those earliest professions. And to this day, city clerks are still dispersing the crowd. But so just a little bit of history. And I want to tell you that IIMC started in 1947. It's a not-for-profit organization, and it is there solely to support the IIMC institution programs that are coming from like Wichita State and all of the universities across the country, as well as the 15 international countries that are affiliated with IIMC. So I'm very proud this evening to present the Master Municipal Clerk Award to Susan, and to let you know how prestigious this award is. In our Region 7, which is Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois, out of those states, Kansas has 37 Master Municipal Clerks. Missouri has 26. Illinois has 45. Grand total in the United States is 1,340. In Canada, there are 16. Overseas, among those other 14 countries, are 17. So out of 15,000 clerks worldwide, currently, as of August 30th, there are 1,373 master municipal clerks. So this is indeed a very prestigious award that I'm bestowing on your clerk this evening. So she went through this very long process, a 7-page application, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, sitting in institutes and training with Morgan and all of us and everything else. Plus, it has to have community involved. And there's more to being the master than just the study time, but you also have to have many other aspects in order to achieve that. So Miss Susan, if you would come here, it would be my great honor to pin you.
Mayor, would you mind going down there and getting a picture too with both of them?
I'm so proud and so honored to do this for you. and this very nice big plaque here. And if we could, Mark, would you come over? I don't know if all of you council members were aware of this, but Mark actually sent me an email a couple of weeks ago, and I was traveling, and I said, let me get back to you. And I was so excited. This is for you, honey. I was so excited to be able to go to my city administrator and say, hey, look, here's someone who believes in their clerk like you. So congratulations to all of you.
Could we get all the staff to come up here and get a picture with Susan with this too? Everybody who's here, come up here and get a picture.
I'll step away.
No, you stay in here.
Oh.
Here's your other Butler County clerks right here,
No, I'd like to get a picture.
and Erica.
No, a little bit this way.
Scoot down.
Paula.
Good. And can we get the other clerks to come up and take a picture with Lana and Susan too?
Morgan.
I'm Morgan.
Morgan.
I'm on Morgan.
Morgan's who makes it happen.
They do the hard work.
Thank you, City Council, for allowing me to achieve this. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here, guys. That was nice to finally give some recognition to a job that sometimes doesn't get a lot of recognition, but does a lot of work behind the scenes. For those of you that don't remember, we split the city administrator and city clerk position. I think was it 07? 07. Thank you, Lana. And Susan you were already administrative here, and we slid you in that position, and you've done great things. So we appreciate all your hard work. And now you're certified. Certified. All right, we will move on to item number 9, which is the consent agenda. That's items 9.1 through 9.10. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agendas 9.1 through 9.10 as presented.
Second?
All right, we have a motion by Greg and a second by CR to approve the consent agenda as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item number 10, which is the heritage. I understand we are looking at some revisions here, right?
Yes, sir. I think the Community Development Director will say we have to officially table the first item, the plat, to the next meeting instead of taking action on it. Is that correct?
Yes, the final PUD will need to continue that action until we have a sufficient letter of credit.
And then 10.3 through 10.7, I think we could just make one motion to officially table those also. And then we'll just deal with the...
So you're saying that 10.2 is all we're going to do?
Right, that's what we're going to work on tonight.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to table item 10.1. If I heard Mark correctly, I can't add 10.3 through
Yeah,
10.7.
I'd rather do that one separately for the Planning Commission record.
So I would request that the final plan, unit development plan, first edition, be tabled until September 24.
Second.
All right, motion by CR and a second by Mike to table item 10.1, the final PUD first edition for the heritage. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.2 you would like to
take action on.
Take action on.
I think the council recall that we've approved the developers agreement on the TIF, and these first phases we were talking about, but we've realized some things since the time we approved the developers agreement. One major thing is that rates have, even in the last 6 months, but particularly in the last year, dropped about 100 basis points. So we wanted to move earlier with going to permanent financing on this initial issue of TIF bonds, about $3.6 million. But a couple of logistical issues are involved in doing that. We do plan to have what we call capitalized interest in that initial bond, and that will take care of the first 2 payments on those 20-year TIF bonds. But the third year will still be not quite with correct timing on getting the new valuation on the tax rolls that we need for the tax increment to take care of that payment. So what the developer is requesting, and I think this will work out, is that the city will make the first payment in the third year, and then the TIF, as it makes money, will pay back that first payment, which I would guess will be $250,000 or so. We'll try to structure this correctly so it's as less burdensome as possible. But if we wait 2 to 3 years, I think there's no doubt in anybody's mind that if we go to permanent financing, we're going to have higher rates. And when you're talking about, our financial advisor, Dustin Avey, sent me the 20-year bond buyer today, and over 99% of the time in the last 30 years, rates have been higher than this. What we all forget is that the average rate, even over the last 30 years, is 5.7% on a 20-year bond, and right now we're just under 3%. I think Andover, with its AA credit, will probably get 2.5% on this bond if all things stay the same for the next couple of months when we go to sale, which you'll have a sale resolution in front of you at the next meeting. So that's the primary difference in this agreement. Just to remind everybody, we're agreeing to issue special assessments and create a benefit district on the section with 0 lot line homes next to Douglas Avenue, just to the west of what is the new Yorktown Parkway. We're also agreeing to do the TIF district for the entire area, and that money from the 0 lot line homes will go into that TIF district, which of course the taxes generated from that will go to pay the bonds and the infrastructure, parks, water, sewer, streets. We've also said we would participate 50% in a backage road, Founders Parkway. In conjunction with that, the TIF will pay for 50% of it, and then more than likely the street sales tax fund will pay for 50% of it. Worth noting is we'll get the normal letter of credit on our typical benefit district, 50% of the total cost, which is going to be just over $2 million. But the developer is, because it'll be about $12.5 million over 3 phases of this TIF district, is putting up just under 20% on that portion of it. Again, we're counting on the property tax revenue to cover that. But those are some of the major features. We've been over this a couple of times, but we wanted to get this taken care of to make sure we had this all squared away. And then there's some just logistical stuff with the petitions that we're going to apply for the Heritage with Perfection Builders, that we're putting those things off, plus the associated work ordinance and authorizing resolutions with them, and the plat also. We're just going to take those all up at the next meeting. I think the deal has essentially stayed the same, except we've decided to go to financing earlier, and which puts the developer in a position where they won't have generated any taxes yet, and they're just asking that we don't draw on that letter of credit in that first year, and then we allow to get some valuation on there. But otherwise, it's the same deal we've been talking about for, I don't know, close to a year now, it feels like. So, any other questions? Mr. Jones and Dr. Lease are here to answer them, but I certainly would stand for any questions also.
Barring no questions, if we could take some action on item 10.2.
Mr. Mayor?
Troy.
Make a motion to approve the developers agreement between Leeds Properties LLC and the City of Andover, Kansas. The development of the Heritage Edition Phases 1A and 1B and Heritage Development Tax Increment Financing District, and authorize the mayor to sign such agreement.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Troy and a second by Caroline to approve the developers agreement. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Troy?
I need another motion to table items 10.3 through 10.7.
Second.
Motion by Troy, second by Brian to table items 10.3 to 10.7. Further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item number 11, which is Prairie Creek Phase 5. Good evening, Rick.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Tonight, we're bringing in front of you the bid awards for Prairie Creek 5 storm drain improvements. This project was substantially under the engineer's estimate, under the petition estimate, or the petition limits. It's actually a really good price, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to accept the low bid from Meese Construction of Wichita, Kansas for stormwater drain improvements to serve Prairie Creek 5th Edition in the not-to-exceed amount of $223,025 and authorize the mayor to sign such contract.
Second.
All right, motion by CR, second by Greg to approve the stormwater bid with Meese Construction, an amount not to exceed $223,025 for Prairie Creek Phase 5 as presented. Further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 11.2, a water sewer bid.
So on this project, if you'll remember on Prairie Creek 4, the water bids came in higher than the engineer's estimate and the original petition amount. We're repeating that process again on Prairie Creek 5th. The water came in high, the sewer came in low. The net was about $5,000 between the two. The projects are bundled together as far as award. So we're going to have to redo the process. If you remember the last council meeting, before we awarded the contract on the water and sewer project, we had to amend the petitions, the developer's agreement, and get a new letter of credit prior to that. Since this bid yesterday, there was no time to get all that work done in advance of this council meeting. So we're requesting you table this until the next council meeting on the 24th. And hopefully by that time we will have all the documents reviewed and approved by legal and have it in your packet for your approval.
Mr. Mayor,
Troy?
I would make a motion to table item number 11.2.
Second.
Motion by Troy, second by Caroline to table the water and sewer bids for Prairie Creek Phase 5. Further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Item 12, fire rescue brush truck.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor and Council, I'm coming to you this evening not to purchase any trucks. However, I am coming to you.
That's a switch.
There you go. I am coming to you for permission to release a bid packet to potential vendors. So the bid packet is a culmination of about 18 months of really extensive planning by your fire rescue staff. The two trucks that we're talking about are brush trucks. So those are the smallest trucks in the fleet. They go out specifically for brush fires, but we do a few other things with them as well.
Those were approved in your 2020 budget? Is that
In
correct?
19.
2019.
Yes, sir. What other questions do you have?
You're wanting to purchase two.
Yes, ma'am.
You want us to authorize you to send out bids?
Yes, sir.
Bid
Mr.
packet.
Mayor, I would move to allow Andover Fire and Rescue to release the bid packet for the brush trucks as requested.
Second.
Motion by CR, second by Caroline to approve the request for bids as presented. Further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Down to item 13. 13, let's go 13.1. Requesting an executive session for consultation with the city attorney. Anyone like to
Sure.
make that motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to recess into executive session for consultation with the city attorney, which will be deemed privileged in the attorney-client privilege per KSA 75-4319B2 to include the governing body, city administrator, assistant city administrator, and the city attorney, and open the meeting. This meeting will resume after 10 minutes, which would be 7:45 p.m.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, a motion by Troy and a second by Brian to go into executive session as requested. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, council, I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All right, the motion by Troy, second by Brian to come out of executive session. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 13.2, we have another executive session request. This is regarding land acquisition.
Mr. Mayor,
Carolyn.
I move to recess into executive session for preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property per Kansas SA 75-4319B and Section 6, so B6, I guess, to include the governing body, city administrator, assistant city administrator, director of community development, and the city attorney. The length of the meeting would be 15 minutes, so we would resume at about 8:05.
Mr. Mayor, could we include the fire chief in that too?
Yes, I'll amend my
Okay.
motion to include the fire chief.
Second.
Motion by Caroline and a second by Troy to go into executive session for the preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property as requested. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Executive session?
So moved.
That was a tie.
Haha, Brian
Second.
said it.
Okay, motion by Troy and a second by Brian to come out of executive session. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 13.3, requesting another executive session for non-elected personnel.
Mr. Mayor?
Make it for 10 minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to recess an executive session to discuss non-elected personnel per KSA 75-4319B1 to include the governing body and city attorney. Open meeting will resume in 10 minutes, approximately 8:35. I know it's a little more than 10 minutes.
Is there a second? Second. Motion by Troy, second by Greg to go in executive session. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, council, I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So move. Second.
Motion by Greg, second by Troy to come out of executive session. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Council, if you don't mind, I would like to call a brief 3-minute recess.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by CR, second by Mike to go into a 3-minute recess. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Second.
Motion by Troy, second by Brian to come out of recess. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Derek, can you clarify what this ordinance is in front of us, please?
The new ordinance, the copyright doesn't have a number, we're amending, the city code, section 1-202.1.
So it's not an ordinance?
It is an ordinance, that's the action you're taking,
We are
you're changing the city code.
Okay.
Ordinances are codified into the code.
Okay, yes. Well, first things first, council, I think we're all aware that our fine administrator, Mr. Detter, has tendered his resignation. I suppose, do we need to take official action to accept that, or is he just on his own?
You're on your own.
Huh? Okay, and the effective date would be September 20th would be your last day? Is that correct? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I so move.
Second.
A motion by CR and a second by Mike to accept the resignation of Mr. Mark Dept as city administrator position as of 12 p.m. September 20th, 2019. And further discussion, Mark, I know you and I had multiple conversations about this, and I think you've done a fantastic job. In your, was it 4 or 5 years? 4? 4.5. Sounds somewhere in there. 4.5 years here. You brought us a long way. You filled a good spot here in Andover, and we wish you all the best of luck in your endeavors. I know this is not the last time you and I are going to meet, but last official council meeting for you, I guess. So, council have anything else to add?
I think we all feel the same way. You were an all-American.
Yep.
I just think you need to provide lodging anytime we need to come up and go fishing.
I'm working on it.
Moving to Valdez, Alaska.
We will miss you, but you're going to have an exciting adventure, and I agree. I now have somebody I can visit in Alaska, right?
I won't make that trip.
I'll just
Maybe
say
in the summer. We'll talk later. But
quickly,
All right.
I appreciate everything the council has done and the staff, and that's all I can really say right now. Thank you.
all right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 5 to 1. Let's come back to this ordinance. So,
Mr. Mayor, I would move to adopt an ordinance repealing and replacing Section 1-202.1 of Chapter 1, Article 2 of the Code of the City of Andover, Kansas, for the purpose of clarifying the city administrator's employment/residency. And I suppose I could read exactly what it is that we're changing as follows. The city administrator shall be hired by the mayor with the consent of the city council and shall serve at the pleasure of the council. Upon being hired, except as otherwise specifically extended by the governing body in writing, the city administrator shall have a period of 6 months within which to establish permanent residency within the city of Andover and shall at all times thereafter reside within the city limits.
Second.
a motion by CR and a second by Caroline to approve the amendment of the ordinance. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So, now that we're without a city administrator as of September 20th, I believe we have a duly qualified applicant within the building, and we would like to extend you an offer, Ms. McCausland, to fill that capacity. I guess we need official motion to approve the terms of the contract. Okay?
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the terms of the contract between Jennifer McCausland and the city of Andover, Kansas on the terms provided therein.
Second.
And authorize the mayor to execute the same.
And that would be effective September 21st.
Second.
I'll add to make it effective September 21, 2019.
All right. I have a motion by CR, a second by Mike, to approve the contract offer. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. You better get busy. Is that it? Tell me that's it. I think that's it, right? Am I missing one?
Those are the things you added, correct?
Those are the things I added, right?
Member items.
We're down to member items. Brian, would you like to start us off?
I don't have anything tonight.
I don't either.
Caroline. That's really.
Oh, yeah.
Troy.
Nothing tonight.
CR.
Likewise.
Greg.
No item.
My
Mike.
fantasy football team won this week, so I'm pretty excited. So that's it.
Staff have anything?
Mr.
Get
Mayor,
out of here.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, just 2 seconds. Tomorrow is the 18th anniversary of 9/11. Your firefighters will have a moment of radio silence as we do every year, and we will be talking about the event as we do every year. And you may have noticed on our Facebook page and in your council report that your firefighters, 14 of them actually went to the 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb, as we have every year since they've started it. And it's a humbling event, and it's an honor to represent you there. So thank you for everybody for taking a minute tomorrow and remembering.
Let's go.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Troy, second by Caroline. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.